Welcome to A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Podcast.
That is the first and only time we will ever try to do that in sync, because it's not...
That was super culty.
I don't like it. I don't like the way it makes me feel.
It wasn't bad, though. We were in sync. Not the band.
We have a new guest this week.
Yes. Connor Peck.
Oh, now they have my full name. It's going to be fun.
He doesn't know what he's getting into because he's never seen the show before. So.
No, it's not true. I did see the one about the what's the polite term? Escort.
The Lady of the Night.
Did you watch it, or did you just watch parts of it here?
No, you showed me the whole episode, I thought.
The whole
I was
episode?
pretty sure we were drinking.
Probably
though.
like a good 2 hours.
Yeah, it was long.
No.
I was pretty sure. We
When?
had watched at least half an hour of it.
Okay, that's fine.
It was good, though.
2 hours. I'm not that mean. I don't just bring you over.
That's not true. Dakunam, a time traveler.
That's true.
Classic.
That is. That's 10 years old this year.
Shameless plug. I'm doing it for you.
Thank you.
Pointing at cameras those people can't see.
One of the big mistakes that I made when buying that stool is the fact that I made it so much higher than these, because...
I have suggested that we cut the legs off, but
Yes, I know.
Jesse didn't like that suggestion.
No.
It actually looks like they should just come off on their own.
But they don't. Not properly. So you tower over us. But that's okay.
That's okay.
Little adjustment. What are you brought Strongbow?
Yeah. It's just like, it's kind of a nice pseudo cider way to start the night.
Why is it a pseudo cider?
No, it's just.
Isn't it just a generic cider?
Well, it is, but like lots of them are kind of sweet and make your stomach hurt after a while. I can drink these all night.
I never have that issue. No alcohol really makes my stomach hurt after drinking it.
I can't think of anyone that would for me either. I suppose if I probably just drank like straight vodka, like nonstop, I'd
If I
probably...
drank straight tequila, I probably wouldn't feel amazing. Like if that was it, if I was thinking tonight, tequila, just tequila.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt.
You guys
Yeah.
must have the livers of gods. Like, I have 3 of these and my stomach hurts. If I drank straight tequila, I'd die.
I don't recommend drinking more than one like shot of tequila if you're gonna sip it. Pretty sick of it quickly, I'd say.
I wouldn't exactly say I have the stomachs of the god. It's like, I hope God looks better than this stomach.
Maybe he's got a big beer belly.
Maybe.
Who knows?
You would think after all those years reigning in heaven, you'd probably get bored and resort to alcoholism.
That's what we do here on Earth. So
It's true.
On earth as it is in heaven. That's about all I got.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. That's the most religious that we've...
no, that's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true.
We
at
did
all.
talk about what the proper channels were to become a priest.
What are the qualifications to become a priest?
Episode.
We got really into it too.
Don't you like go to university to be a priest? I thought there were
probably
courses.
I imagine you probably just go to a church and sort of follow a lot of the... You basically just get indoctrinated, and then there's like just training within the church or something.
I'm positive there's some kind of a secular school.
Well, there is.
Probably, yeah. It probably helps, like any other college or university course.
Actually, one of my dad's friends, he was not an engineer, an electrician at the Fasco, and he was going for night school to be a priest. And the only way he could actually remember, because you got to learn, I can't remember if you have to learn Greek and Latin or one or the other.
Probably Latin with higher priority, but if you have to learn both, I guess it might make some sense.
I would hope you don't have to learn both.
Yeah, that'd be pretty intense.
I know a bunch of people that did it just for classical studies.
I don't even know what you would need to know Greek for necessarily.
A lot of the older documents were translated into Greek.
Right.
But
It's 2019. They've also been translated into English.
That's it's
But
tradition, though.
we were using Latin copies of things before the Vatican whatever reform thing. I don't know. I'm not very up on Catholicism.
Me either.
My liberal arts degree means I've got like a spattering of info here and a spattering of info there, and they mean nothing.
No.
So
That's most university degrees.
liberal arts gets a really bad rap in media. Like, whenever there's somebody who's like, well, I'm in university, and then the wise person's like, what do you take? And we're like, oh, liberal arts. It's always the punchline. How do you feel about that?
I think it's hilarious. Although, one of my biggest jokes is that the first use I've ever had for my liberal arts degree was the goddamn Minions movie. There's a moment where he's leaning against a fire hydrant and he's hitting on it, and he goes, "Tue bella papagena." And I lean over to my girlfriend, like, that's from Mozart's The Golden Flute. What's wrong with you? And that's the first and only direct use I've had for it.
Obscure references?
Obscure references.
All right.
But then, I don't know, there's a lot of life skills you get out of it, though. A lot of good communication, because you have to learn how to write and interact with people in a bunch of different fields. You get really good at mixing, like, ideologies, I guess. So you only learn half of one thing in one class and half in another. And then the way they can combine is usually pretty interesting. Like, I took a third-year biology course.
Okay.
And the only reason I passed was because I knew how to write. I failed miserably on every test.
Writing goes a long way in the sciences, because by the time you get to your fourth year, if you are doing bigger projects and even a thesis project, you better be good at writing, because you have to be persuasive in all the arguments you're making, and very, very concise with all of your information. Mm-hmm. The information is actually easy to obtain because you have somebody sort of guiding you along the way, and you have all this peer-reviewed literature to read. But if you can't create something of your own, writing-wise, yeah, you're not going to do well.
When you were, I'm going to mess it up. It's you were studying lichens, right?
For my thesis, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, that's incredible that you remember.
How the hell did you remember that?
I don't even think anybody else in my life remembers that.
Liberal arts. But was someone there teaching you that, or did you have to go out and do your own study for that?
So, I did not really know much at all about lichens before I started the thesis project, because I'd taken one mycology course, which is just fungi. Lichens are not exactly fungi, but they are mentioned in this fungi course. So I had a small understanding of what they were. The reason that I studied lichens is because I chose a professor to sort of like for my thesis project, and his specialty was studying lichens.
Oh, okay.
So then from that point on, it was reading like probably 200 peer-reviewed articles, and just it's 8 months of a lot of reading and learning. And obviously my professor, who is an expert, has a lot of very useful things to share with me. So.
And lichens are moss, right?
They are not, actually. They are
One or two.
fungi that have created a symbiotic relationship with algae, or like photosynthetic organisms, essentially.
That sounds really complicated.
I don't know. Not really in the sense that I'm studying.
Sorry.
You can really easily summarize the basis of what I was studying, and that is how fast do these things grow, and how, if at all, do we record that. Basically, I just use photos and to compare the sizes of the things, and then I said, is this a reliable way? And I discussed that, because there's issues with taking photos of stuff like distortion of lenses and lots of other factors to consider that lots of experts in the field didn't, and pretty much means that everything that's ever been studied about lichens is useless, at least photogrammetry wise. Which,
See, it's really funny to me, actually. You started off with Jesse saying, like, how does people saying liberal arts is useless make you feel? But everything you've just described to me is actually really similar to how I feel about liberal arts, because you're also a photographer.
yes,
And no other scientist, unless they had a photography background, probably would have thought about those things you just mentioned that I can't remember because they were photographical and complicated.
It's funny because my professor, who knows a lot about these lichens because he's been studying them all of his life, goes over to like Alberta and British Columbia and all these mountain ranges to study very specific ones that he's into or whatever. But like he kind of brought up like the issues with studying lichens from photographs, because it was a thing that everybody just took for granted that you could do. You could take pictures over the course of decades to watch these things grow, because they take a very long time to grow. And he said, well, maybe there's a problem with it because people are using different cameras, they got different lenses, they got different things they pick up on, different micro contrast in the colors of them. So what is your data worth? And kind of it came down to nothing, which is unfortunate.
It's tragic.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but it's interesting because once you know, you can sort of correct for it, which is, yeah, it was a very well suited thesis to me because it was a biological concept I knew nothing about, which that's pretty much every time you enter a new course, you're going to learn stuff that you never encountered before, mixed with something that I was very passionate about at the time, and still kind of am, but photography, which is...
That's good to hear. I'm glad you haven't
It's not the same, though. Like, at the time, photography being a passionate hobby was so much more involved than it just being a job. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it meant so much more to me back then.
It can be a hobby still, though. We've talked about this.
I don't know. I've kind of ruined it for myself. I just don't have the time to do it. If that was my full-time job and I didn't have to worry about doing other stuff and I could just walk around with a camera all day.
I'm working on it. Slowly.
We'll see.
Who knows? Maybe your full-time passion will be filmmaking. I tell you. That's a bug that'll bite you. And it'll...
Podcasting.
What'd you say?
It's not a good career. Don't.
Podcasting.
Well, unless you're Joe Rogan, you're not pulling in good money from podcasting.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I got to whisper into the mic. I can't whisper across.
It's good that you're aware of where it is, because most people just forget that they're wearing it and start bumping it. And like
Jesse was kind enough to put it on with love and care, so
Yes,
I've got to...
You're the first person that I've lovingly put it on for.
tenderly unbuttoned each part of your shirt.
Everyone else you just throw the microphone at and say, deal with it, stupid.
Well, I've had some women, so I can't do it like that, like I did with you.
Although there's a decent percentage of the women that have been on this podcast that openly just would probably bust it open. So without us asking or wanting that in the slightest.
We've had 2 women, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, one was the aforementioned escort, and the other one, yeah, she would have as well. No offense. But
that's a bold claim. I was going to go with 50%, but
whatever.
I guess 100% of the women, according to Jesse, would have gladly just busted their shirts open.
As long as we
kind of a
promise to like edit it. I don't know. Nudity on Facebook.
Oh no,
can't do.
Yeah, no, you can't really
Can't
tell
do
that.
that.
Although we are also an audio podcast.
Yeah,
now,
we are.
now available on
We are available
Spotify,
on Spotify.
and iTunes and Google Play Music.
Yeah. It's impressive.
The reason I kind of hate, and a lot of podcasters do this, they do what we just did. But there's lots of people on those platforms, hopefully, they're listening. And they're like, fuck, I know it's on. You don't need to tell me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, there are a couple shows I watch that they do a live show every time, and they'll have to sit back and they'll be like, well, wait a minute. Chuck just did this. It was very funny, and you just have to trust us. You guys don't have to do that. You've got very scary cameras.
It's true. I tend to like... Do you watch a lot of podcasts?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. I tend to like the ones that put links with timestamps, like of all the stuff they talk about. A couple of them, my favorite one that I used to watch was the Rooster Teeth podcast, but everything they would mention, they would have like an article or pictures or whatever associated with what they're talking about. So you didn't even really need the video. You'd sort of get to see the content they were talking about as it went.
Perfect. Yeah. That's your job.
No, that is an incredibly demanding task, and I know for a fact that they were paying somebody to do that. So if I'm getting paid to do it, sure, but no, it's too much work.
Oh, by the way, episode 50. Welcome. I just remembered.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
We're 50.
We have to call it out.
We do.
The fact that 50 is a big number. I remember episode 30 like it was 20 weeks ago.
I don't remember any of them.
I should be working on that. Am I allowed to just get up and
go
grab another
grab
drink?
Just don't
drink
kick
you
any
choose.
cameras or tripods or lights.
Yeah, then we're good.
Walk behind the camera?
Technically, we could still record because you're still hot right now.
The whiskey is up for grabs should anybody choose to use it.
That hurts.
I brought Canada Club because I decided to try that after watching a documentary in which a person drank it profusely. Reviewed
I
it so
also
far.
have Weiser's whiskey if
Yep.
anybody wants to use it.
And I got 40 Creek Heritage whiskey.
Well, Eric doesn't have to drive,
No, I don't.
so we're going to get him plowed.
Okay. Are we going to drink too?
I was refraining from making that joke. So we're going to get you to floor Tila points and see how it goes.
It's never happened.
Never happened
The
yet.
drunkest that I have ever been around you was
Thank you.
we went to the pool party together. There was Tila's family.
Oh, you
Yeah.
were drunk.
Oh yeah.
I had to bring water down.
I'm not gonna get drunker than that.
That was overly drunk.
Yeah, that was wow. I mean, I felt pretty terrible leaving, but I was okay for the rest of the night.
That was fun, though.
I've never thrown up drinking or anything like that, so I haven't gotten to that point. But yeah, I don't really change that much personality-wise necessarily. I just
doesn't
get
matter.
really tired and I don't want to do much. So it's not really good.
But you're fun. I mean, you just
Yes.
keep. It's good. It's wonderful. I have thrown up. It's a fact, but I will still stay or stand by throwing up over having a massive hangover the next day, which
Yeah.
I have never.
Yeah, that does sound preferable.
experienced. The day that I do, I don't know what I will do.
I'll tell you exactly what you'll do. You'll stay in bed all day and go, I'm never going to drink again.
But see, the problem is when I drink, I don't plan for that to happen. So I have a full day of things to do tomorrow. So if I get a hangover, I'm fucked.
No, you're not. You just got to power through. I've done that too many times.
Doesn't sound pleasant.
No, my late 20s have been way better than my early 20s.
How old are you exactly?
I guess my late mid-20s, I'm 26.
Okay.
So not actually late 20s.
So like a year into it, you're feeling
Yeah.
it's better. That's good. That's
It's
good.
a good start. We'll see how it goes.
My past year of drinking has been better. I think, well, it has been.
It's an odd thing
Better
to
as
say.
in you can drink more, or better as in you drink less?
I don't think it would be physically possible for me to drink more some nights. Some nights there's a definite capacity which I reach.
Yeah. There's almost a pacing limit too, where like if you don't do it fast enough, you're not really getting anywhere.
What do you guys...
Am I the only one with this problem? I don't. It's not like I'm sitting there pounding back shots like I can't. I have to do this to get drunk. It's like to enjoy a drink, because I kind of do enjoy the taste and the other things associated with it. I'm too slow.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like a pint of beer takes me quite some time to finish. Probably at least half an hour to finish a pint, or even a glass. I have probably one drink worth of whiskey in there. I'm probably gonna sip on it for like half an hour at least. So it takes a while.
No, I kind of get that.
And then by the time you hit an hour, you've already metabolized the first drink, and it doesn't really add up very quickly.
My friends used to make a game of it where the start of the night you just take like 5 shots or whatever you want
Oh
to
my
take.
god.
That's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
That's dangerous.
I only had one friend that actually did 5, but
It's
you
pretty
just take
hardcore.
you take a few shots and then you just do exactly what you just described, which is just coast on it.
Yeah. Well, it's not the worst idea. I only did that once. And it was because I went to some party and I was late. And they said you had to catch up. And they said, I'm going to give you a Newfie shot. And I said, okay. And I said, what is that? 3 shots? And he said, no, it was 2, but I'm going to give you 3. I said, okay. And I did 3 shots of vodka in 1 swig. And then I was, it got me there pretty quick.
It's a legend now, as they will say, but Justin's first week of college, we welcomed him to college with what I had read on the internet was called the college shot, just to get him going. It was a mix of rum, vodka,
Ugh.
tequila,
No.
and whiskey, all in one
That's
go.
disgusting.
Yeah, it was not amazing.
Like an ounce of each or what?
I can't remember what it was. I have had... I mean, Connor is a self-proclaimed 12 Shots of Christmas second place winner.
I never said that. I actually often say I lost the 12
Well, you
shots
did.
of
You
Christmas.
lost to a 90-pound woman.
She earned it.
She did.
12 shots of Christmas. Explain this to me.
Go, Jesse. I can't remember them.
Okay. I don't remember the actual 12 shots. I might actually still have them for what it's worth.
So,
One Christmas party many moons ago. And unfortunately, that's true. Like, that's not even a fake thing to say.
I was,
A lot of moons happen in a year.
yeah,
That's
that's
true.
11 or 12, is it?
We decided to have
more.
a Christmas party. I don't have it.
Okay.
And at this Christmas party, I designed a game based around the 12 Days of Christmas, which, as I'm sure you guessed, was called the 12 Shots of Christmas. So there were 12 different shots of varying alcohol percentages. Like there'd be sourpuss in one, tequila in the other, and people tried to do it. And they tried to do it to the final verse of 12 Days of Christmas. So it'll be 12, dun, 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 11, dun, 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 10, dun, dun, dun. Slower. We found a slow version.
That sounds like death.
It is death.
I only made it to like 5. Justin, I don't know how he fared. I can't remember. The other people didn't fare too well. Jake might have done okay. Connor succeeded.
And then went to bed.
I would have had my money on Justin because he's got a drinking man's physique.
But no, this 90-pound woman who got tanked at this party.
No, that's like alcohol poisoning.
Like, she was the most drunk I've ever seen somebody in their life.
I don't believe you. Flortila. It's...
It doesn't take much to get her there.
Yeah.
No.
but
Just based on alcohol content, just put them back, and it was amazing to watch. Like, I don't know why, but she let loose that night, and it was not the night to say, yeah, I can do 12 shots. But she won.
Yeah, she did.
That's winning ain't worth much in that situation.
I think she actually won something. I think we did have gifts or something. I can't remember.
I literally passed out. I have no recollection.
She passed out then, too.
You're a monster. Is all I got from the
I
story.
have had some very interesting get-together experiences with some very interesting people. I'm not a monster.
I don't think I'll ever do 12 shots of Christmas.
You notice that has been pulled from every other time that I've had people. Plus, I don't really do Christmas parties anymore outside of work Christmas parties.
That's true.
Do either of you find yourself in circumstances now where you still do shots? Is that a thing that you do?
Yes.
Like at remembrances.
Remembrances?
Like I've never had to do a shot lately, like just to do a shot.
Yeah.
Like
It was a thing that happened for me at like parties, high school,
I don't do
university.
shots at parties anymore.
Yeah.
The only party and the only time that I'll actually do like fairly rapid succession of shots, and I can't, like, every year, it's one of those signs where you're like, wow, this is actually harder to do this year than it was last year. Is the yearly my brother's yearly wake.
a remembrance.
A remembrance. And when there's a Texas Mickey of whiskey and 3 dudes drinking it, that's a liter per guy, and we finished it. And I lived.
That is more alcohol than I'd like
And
to consume in a night.
Once
ever.
again, this is how I go to bed. It's going to be a hangover tomorrow. It's going to be a hangover tomorrow. Oh. And then I wake up the next morning, like, well, my head doesn't hurt. I give my head a shake. Like, I don't know what deal with the devil I have made, but that should happen. So no, that would probably be it. If you offered, like, if we do a toast tonight with whiskey, sure. One shot of whiskey, okay.
Here's my problem with it, though. It's not a very enjoyable way to consume liquor.
No,
isn't.
it's not.
Yeah.
But it's the way that a lot of people do.
Like, I even bought some absinthe when we went to see Bert Kreischer
How was
in
that?
Toronto. I didn't do shots of it. See, I sipped it.
But how was it?
It was okay. I had one, like, shot worth, and I sipped it over the course of maybe, like, 20 minutes. It's okay. Absinthe is it doesn't taste as strong as it is. I think it's like, mine was like 70% or something. It tastes kind of like licorice. A little
I
bit.
hate licorice.
It's not bad. I guess I don't mind licorice either, but it wasn't terrible.
I wish that, like, the media has issues. Absinthe, when I think of absinthe, I think of Euro Trip. I don't know, right?
Yeah, the hallucinogenic.
Yeah, the green fairy.
Hallucinogenic stuff.
Yes.
Which is actually what the bottle was. It was green stuff.
And then I think back to, like, all the movies that I watched when I was a younger person. I don't want to say kid because that would be inappropriate, but when I was 11, 12, 13, all those movies.
Kid.
Like, they really set us up for disappointment. American Pie? Fuck you. None of the exchange students in my school were remotely as cute as Nadia.
You just went to the wrong school, I guess.
Well, no shit.
Mine didn't even have exchange students until I got to Brock.
Yeah, university day, first year I was with a
There was one
university student.
good-looking exchange student my entire school term. She was French.
I definitely thought you were going to go with he there for a second.
Oh.
I thought that was the lead up.
That's my story because the first year of university, I had 3 roommates. And then the first term, there was an exchange student, and he was Swedish. And he killed the ladies. Like every night, some different girl. And he was he didn't even he just took it for granted. He didn't realize how good he had it.
You know, the scary thing is you don't know if that's true. Maybe back in Sweden it was even better. And this was just like his vacation.
Swedish women.
Maybe.
It might be. No, because if they're...
Swedish women, I feel like Swedish women are harder to get than Canadian
Well, of course
women.
they would be, because they all look Swedish. He comes here,
Maybe.
he's a Swedish guy, he's got an okay accent. That was... I don't know what that was.
I think maybe it's more on the regard of female empowerment in Sweden. I think women in Sweden are probably... I don't know, maybe feel more control and all that, and I don't know. I tried to talk to him a few times about it, but anyways, he slayed pussy over here, that's for sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
I did not.
I'm not Swedish, so I don't know. I can't really get that luxury. Although he was a pretty looking guy, so that was going for him too.
Of all my trips overseas, I have not slayed pussy. Even my extended trips to Italy.
Where is it that Canadians are most appealing? Because the one that always gets put around is Australia for some reason. I don't
Are
know
Canadians appealing? I just
don't
always
know.
thought we had the blandest of accents.
But you see, it depends. Like, you say, a lot of the Caribbean islands like Canadians. That's great. It's because we tip well.
But they didn't seem to like me very much.
And, for what it's worth, that's great. I've been offered sex in Jamaica. I didn't take it. It weirded me out.
I didn't know where this podcast was
It
going
was
to
in a
go when I sat
store
down.
with my
why.
family.
Go anywhere you want it to go. We could talk about intellectual stuff again, or we could
No,
talk about having sex in foreign countries.
I'm happy. I just didn't know the rules. I didn't know the rules of
on
engagement.
Spotify and iTunes and the Google Play Music Store, because that's where we're on, we are listed as not safe for work. So we can say whatever we want.
Who's listening to podcasts out loud at work?
It'd be a really weird workplace if they were. And if they were, okay. I do work in a workplace where people listen to podcasts out loud. Except the only podcast that it ever is the Joe Rogan podcast. That's it.
That's not a bad podcast to be out loud.
It's
though.
explicit, but it's a great podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Electricians do it all the time for some reason.
All right, you work on construction sites.
Yes, I
We
do.
don't listen to podcasts out loud at weddings.
No.
How long do you think it'll be before hipster bars start showing, like, because Joe Rogan doesn't necessarily have a schedule, but you can more or less catch a recent one. They just start showing Joe Rogan podcasts on the TV.
They won't do it.
Just play random episodes.
The exclusive, no, they won't do it for sure. Not. I've never seen a bar or establishment that is running YouTube videos for one.
We run YouTube videos at our establishment. We just don't serve booze.
Oh. What is your establishment?
Oh, we sell collectibles.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like restaurants and stuff like that. But
Okay, so if you're going based on online videos, Lester D's Diner down the street shows Netflix
they
all the
show
time.
movies, yeah.
Yeah, which is illegal, once again, by the way.
Yeah, but they're never going to find the
It
repercussions.
is
of
illegal.
I'm just laughing because you name dropped them and then said, by the way, they're illegal.
Who cares? I mean,
Well,
they're an
obviously they
okay
don't.
restaurant and they get plenty of business, I guess, but they're going to fly under the radar forever with that.
Well, of course they will. It's just Netflix, when you sign up in that fine print, it's for personal use only, not commercial use.
Well, they're not making money off it.
I mean,
Who's to
maybe,
say they aren't?
maybe they are. I know for a fact every time I go in there, there's going to be a movie on. I could go there to
that's
watch
true.
movies if I really wanted to.
But I think they could make the argument that if people were coming there to watch Netflix movies, they could buy a Netflix account cheaper than it would cost to eat food there.
I don't think that would hold up in court.
don't know.
The entertainment
Well, it
industry
is
is
true.
weird like that. Bars that play the Super Bowl have to pay a license to play the Super Bowl. And if it's a small bar, they obviously pay less than a bigger bar because it is a per capacity of the bar.
What?
Yeah.
That's fucked.
YouTube content doesn't really have licensing requirements like that.
Nope.
I mean, most people don't upload it as Creative Commons or anything like that. Let's just say they upload it with fully rights withheld, like most people do. I feel like they're legally within the right to play that at pretty much any establishment.
Yeah.
But nobody does. It's like the lack of credibility in internet video content still exists, where you can't really have made it until you're in some kind of other media stream.
Well, next time I go to Walmart, I'm just going to play the Joe Rogan podcast in every one of the sample phones and walk away.
Sounds like a fun thing to do at Walmart.
Doesn't sound too bad.
This would probably be the most fun I ever had in a Walmart. We should go do that now.
Yeah.
Oh wait, none of us can drive there, can we?
Not currently, no. But there's Uber. But it's not worth it.
To Uber to.
Have you tried to pick an Uber in St. Catharines? Actually, it's not that bad now that I think about it.
I've
I was about to.
never had a bad
myself.
experience with Uber.
I've only had one experience with Uber.
That's true. We went.
And that was with you.
Yeah.
And it was just down the
fine. It was
street.
just some guy that was quiet, and we went, and his what was he driving? The Lincoln MKZ or something? The Ford Fusion of Lincolns.
I told him I was drunk, and I also told him that he took my Uber virginity.
How do you react?
He didn't say much about it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Chuckled, at least, I think.
Yeah.
The most fun I've had that wasn't alcohol fueled in Toronto was taking an Uber pool. If you have nowhere to be fast, take an Uber pool because it's way cheaper and you're going to pick up and drop off like 5 people before you get to your destination.
I guess you meet a lot of interesting people.
I guess you can find out where the party's at pretty much because you could just.
Yeah, depending on when you pick it up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have good podcast etiquette. I'm working on that.
What etiquette do you think you're lacking?
I can see when you're about to talk, but it doesn't clue in.
Oh, I don't care.
Okay.
Just talk over me. I don't care. That's an odd social faux pas where people are like, "Oh, you're talking over me. It's so rude." I don't care. I talk over people all the time, and people talk over me because that's just what humans do.
Yeah, we talk over him all the time.
But I don't get offended by it. It's kind of, maybe you could say, it's people trying to show dominance over each other and try to get their point across. But it's an entirely valid way of communication, in my opinion.
I was more so just thinking that I was messing up audio quality if I was trying to talk while you were.
Nah, it's good.
Okay.
It's not too hard to differentiate voices. It's when Jesse gets really close to the mic and starts yelling that it's really, really distracting.
He's not yelling. He's
Or
talking
he likes
very
to talk
sensually.
away from the microphone in some other direction, which is really bad with these.
Sometimes.
Your microphone is actually direct. It works in pretty much any direction, but these
I move over here.
got to talk at them. Yeah, or he's checking his phone or something.
Or over here.
See, this is another part where if someone's not watching the video, it just looks really weird.
Well,
Well, it doesn't
They
look
get some
anything.
sort of audio spectrum about it. We've talked about this many times on the podcast. Do you know anything about ASMR?
I know it's probably one of the most frustrating things I've ever heard of.
It's frustrating.
It just kills me. It's just, was it autonomous sensory meridian response?
Yeah,
That doesn't mean anything.
No, it's a thing that a bunch of kooks made up to make it sound legitimate. But I mean, it probably is legitimate. It's just that they're going about it the wrong way.
I'm certain that there are certain sounds that make people feel calm, but every time I've heard ASMR, I just feel super awkward.
Yeah, no, lots of people don't really get into it. I mean, anyways, I was going to use that to make my point about a binaural audio space. 'Cause a lot of them have 2 microphones, and you can sort of get a feeling for the space of the room with it, which isn't quite as good as this, because I think we're going to probably upload it in mono. It's usually what we do. But so ASMR makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just...
See, here's the thing. A lot of people who even have the right response to it, and it's not even a calming response, it's a specific tingly sensation that most people say runs up and down their spine or other parts of their body.
Okay.
A lot of people who have it don't like to watch those types of videos, the ones that are intentional ASMR, people that are recording it for that purpose. A lot of times it's unintentional, like it's somebody went to a barber shop and then recorded their friend getting some kind of scalp rub and a face shave or whatever, and then something about the sounds and the visuals of that it's relaxing, but it also causes this weird response in them.
I'm going to talk over it now.
Yeah.
Just because you mentioned the barbershop. I've listened to more ASMR stuff as of late because we keep bringing it up. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's very interesting. Sometimes I do get a feeling. But mentioning the barbershop, the most spine-tingling, best feeling, like I wish I could just duplicate it forever, is when I'm getting the back of my neck shaved.
Yeah.
And they just go over my spine, and it just tingles, and it feels so good.
You can almost imagine it
like I'm purring almost.
Yeah, you can almost imagine that in a way that you sort of feel it in a sense. You know what the feeling's like. That's a little bit of an indication of what ASMR is kind of like for people who haven't experienced it before.
Okay.
And if
Do you want me to shave the back of your neck so you can experience it?
If you can find a way to induce it upon yourself, it is very, very nice.
Is it like those head scalp massagers that you see at like the showcase?
Okay.
Maybe.
I could see. I've had that happen too.
I'd say it's more like if you got a sudden chill or something and all of the hairs, or let's just say you get to the end of Sixth Sense or a Thriller and like you see the whole, what do they call it? The twist. All the hairs in your body stand up.
What you just described is terror.
Okay. Like that. I like that feeling.
That's true. No,
I get what you're saying though. It's like
like
electricity.
Yeah, through your whole body or through a certain part of your body.
Unfortunately, I also get that at work all the time. I don't know what happens. There's like dry air or something. The static builds up, and then anytime I touch something metal, I can feel all the hair standing up. Customers will laugh at me for it because they'll be like, hey, "Can you just get that off the rack?" But to get that off the rack, you have to grab the magnet that's attached to the fridge. And
you should just find a way to keep yourself grounded more.
Yeah, I was gonna buy one of those grounding wires for a computer.
And just keep yourself hooked up to like a desk the whole time. Yeah.
It's gotten really bad. Even the phone, it's mostly covered in plastic, but wherever the speakers are exposed to let sound out, I can zap myself through that.
That's interesting.
It's painful.
I don't know how I did it. I think I had a pair of headphones on once, and I somehow grounded myself through the headphones, and it went into my ears. It was extremely painful.
I can imagine.
I don't get many static shocks at my work, although I do get real shocks occasionally.
I had one shock like that at Beatty's, actually. I was screwing around with the computers trying to clean up the display, and I got shocked through the outlet. I don't know how, but I did. That's the extent of my shocking.
I tend to walk through puddles and work with electric tools in the rain, so yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Doesn't help. And I found out, it took me like over a year to figure this out. One time, we have a radio, and I was carrying that through rainy conditions, and it has a ground wire and everything, but somehow I got shocked. And like it was really startling. It was the first time I ever got shocked on that job site, and also it was like this weird radiating feeling up and down between my fingers and my elbow, and it was just fucking through the radio. I looked in it the other day because we broke it, and there's like a series of outlets you can plug other things into, and you can see inside the radio now. And I looked inside. There are 3 wires. There's a white one, a black one, and a green one.
Which one do you cut?
The green one was
cut. I was about to say you don't cut the green one because that's the ground wire.
Inside this radio that my boss bought brand new, DeWalt radio, the green wire, the ground was cut on one of them. Nice. I don't know why that was, but I became the ground, and then I got shocked. That was a long time ago, but
it was a shocking experience.
It was. There's other weird stuff, like I get calluses on my finger, and for some reason that has less resistance than the rest of my hand. So if I touch something that's electrically conductive, it goes to there first for some reason. It's kind of painful.
I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that now because it's going to bug the crap out of me. But
So, as the 3 of us have now explained, Eric has the manliest job out of the 3 of us.
Oh, yeah.
Building houses?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got 2 pansy-ass jobs. I love them both.
There's something about the atmosphere of mostly manual labor jobs, because I've worked in like factories and stuff too. Being able to say whatever you want and just absolutely mental stuff happening where you're just saying awful things to each other, and there's like near-death accidents happening on a regular basis, which it's I'm maybe being a little bit dramatic, but it's a dangerous workplace. I mean, you could fall off a roof at any moment or whatever, and there's lots of things involved, but I love it. There's something about it that's way better.
I did contracting for a while, and I definitely get what you're saying, but there's some really bad stuff, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've thought about it because eventually I will have to decide what I'm going to do, and I thought, well, I could kind of try to do entry-level framing stuff with Eric, and every time I think about it, I just have this visual of me falling off a roof.
You won't be on the roof.
Well, good.
Took me about a year. Yeah, about a year before I ever set foot on a roof, pretty much.
Okay, well, thank you. That has helped my issues.
You don't have to do anything that you're asked to do. That's another weird thing about framing. You can sort of just do what the fuck you want, because as long as it's safe. I don't know. Every time we get a new person, like, what should I do? I'm like, whatever you want. Although you might get fired, but
that was the awful thing about contracting, is that my boss would say, can you do this? And the answer is yes or no. It's not, do you want to do this? It's, are you capable? Well, to a degree. They'd be like, I want you to go and do this on the roof. And 9 times out of 10, it's like, yeah, roofs are fine. And the one time, like, yeah, can you just stretch out over here and paint that one spot? No. I wasn't doing legal contracting.
No. What exactly were you doing?
I was renovating houses.
Okay.
So,
You yourself were a contractor, or you were?
I was a contractor.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, officially I was a contractor because I wasn't working under another contractor. Mm-hmm. But it was just it was supposed to be general labor, but because I was the only guy on the crew that could fit in some of the tighter spots, I then became like the de facto like insulator, electrician. Yeah.
Shouldn't have to fit in 2 weird spots to do insulation or electric.
It was because all of the electrical ran through the roof of the house, like up in the attic. And right in the middle of the attic, it was about probably maybe 3 or 4 feet across was the whole width of the crawl space. And the initial like 2.5 feet was chimney.
Yeah.
So there was only like this much space. This much space.
This is a rafter-based roof, not a truss-based roof. So it was just on the sides and you were in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so there was not much space to get around the chimney, and all the electrical was past it. So I'd be sending pictures to my boss, like, this is what it looks like. What's it supposed to look like?
Were you going up there with like a live wire detector of some kind? No.
No. Oh no, I could see all of it. Like, it was all bare once it got up there. It was just covered by insulation. Yeah,
that's the going through my attic, because in my house there was knob and tube at one point, and I was worried that might be live, but luckily it's not.
That's terrifying.
But there's other electrical wires, and I was in the attic, and I was just using that. Like, there's a wire. This one's not live. This one's not live. Oh, that one is live. Okay, and just getting a feel of like what I'm surrounded by and what not to touch.
I trusted my boss maybe a little bit more than I should have. There was a moment where he's like, "Yeah, I just need you to just undo this like outlet and replace it with this outlet." Yeah, okay. Is the wire dead? Yep, I've turned it all off.
Ooh.
And then I bridged whatever gap was there, and it was not dead.
Nope.
And I didn't realize this, but you're not in control when when you get shocked.
Yeah.
Whatever happens is happening. You're stuck there. That hurt.
Yeah,
it hurt a lot.
I don't like. There's a weird thing, and maybe you felt it too. There's a distinct difference, for me at least, between DC current and AC current.
I have never felt DC current. I imagine if I did, I'd be dead.
I feel like if Eric's telling you there's a difference between AC and DC.
There is a difference, but one is...
The main situation in which you would die is if it crossed through your heart and stopped, basically, your valves working properly. But in the circumstance where you don't have that happen, it just stops, it goes through some other part of your body. AC current, for me, is less painful, but it involves, like, you feel like a radiating feeling for some reason. I don't know what it is. Like, I always feel like going between 2 very distinct points of my body, wherever it is that it's shocking me. And it's like pins and needles, I would describe it as. DC current, and then the most I've got hit with before was 12 volts, and I don't know how many amps, but it was on a switch, and I had wired it backwards, so it blew. It blew when I flipped it on. Poor design that it would shock me at the same time, but I got shocked with that, and it's like a jolt. Instantaneously happens, and it's over, and it hurts like hell.
I've only ever felt the first one. I don't know much about electricity, though, which is why I'm not an electrician. No. The only electrical work I've ever really done is replacing in kind, or when we tore down walls and I was looking at something. That is a live wire duct tape together. Mm-hmm. We can't leave that, can we?
No.
So technically it's illegal for me to replace it, but since I've torn it, it's illegal for me to leave it.
Yes.
And they weren't hiring a master electrician.
No.
So
It's one of those things that electricians do all the time. Even just ripping down a couple of the walls we have in my house, it was just a live junction in the wall. And before that, we had talked about, oh, we're going to take down this wall, and like, should we use a Sawzall? I'm like, no, I don't trust this wall. I might cut a wire. And Tila's like, they'll all be at this level. I'm like, I don't trust it. Smash the wall. Sure enough, there's a wire that goes like all the way from the top of the wall to the bottom in a weird shape.
Isn't it just a good rule of thumb to not trust?
No. I mean, if you did it yourself,
yes,
code,
that's a different story.
even in a modern house, you could probably trust that they're doing it right for most subdivisions, but you're still taking a risk.
yeah.
A little bit.
Older houses have been a lot of fun for me because if a house is over like 100 years old, you have no idea what's behind the wall you're about to hit.
No, it's pretty cool though.
It is pretty cool until it's like, oh, that is a brick of asbestos.
Well, if it's over 100 years old, it won't have that.
Yeah, it depends on when the renovations were done.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of times for the houses that were built in like the 1920s and 30s, they would use the asbestos later to like insulate like piping for a boiler or things like that.
I was just about to say, for us, it was behind some of the vents.
Yeah.
It was just like a small block of it.
I haven't encountered any of that in my house, although there's quite a few things that struck me as interesting. Like for instance, the framing it's 2x4, but it's inconsistent 2x4. Like for instance, like the width on a 2x4 these days is 1.5 inches, regardless of pretty much anywhere you find them. But back then they would just use varying thicknesses. It didn't really matter. It was the width that mattered because you got to stick drywall to it. But other than that,
that's what I tell women too. What?
If I try to peel this open, it's going to sound really awful. I was just passing it.
Absolute vodka label would sound awful.
So he opens it in front of the...
I don't think it'll sound like that. It probably won't sound pleasing necessarily. Yeah, maybe it's okay.
This is the ASMR experience.
Oh. What? Oh.
There we go.
Connor almost ate it. This is vodka.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
have just read it from the
expect it
label.
to be anything
I
else.
can confirm.
Yes. Is there a reason why you chose Absolute Vodka? It's your favorite?
No, just it was there.
It was there. Sounds like a lot of choices of teenagers. Like, need vodka. Is this vodka? Yeah. Okay. Get it.
College, just so many nights of Prince Igor vodka.
Oh God,
Prince Igor. My default's always been Polar Ice.
Yeah,
Polar Ice
is
would
okay.
be better than Prince Igor. Prince Igor, I don't even look for it anymore. I don't know if it exists, but at one point it was
still
like
does.
the
It exists.
bottom of the barrel.
Really?
I used
Not good
I used
vodka.
to buy it for a customer at Pizza.
There's pretty much no difference. When you guys go to the LCBO, there pretty much seems to be no difference in the price of most. Like, you could look at the shelf of whiskeys. For the same amount of like content, they almost all cost the same. Same with vodkas. It's very difficult to say, oh, this is the cheap one necessarily.
Yeah, it's there are a couple brands I just won't drink anymore, and this just happens to not be one of them. So I
Of
grabbed
vodka?
that one. Yeah.
What brands of vodka won't you drink anymore?
Smirnoff?
Yeah, I try to avoid Smirnoff. Like, it just
Why?
tastes harsh to me.
Oh.
And Prince Igor.
There's Iceberg,
Iceberg's all right.
and there's Alberta whatever something.
I haven't tried that. There's man, I cannot pronounce the Russian name. Stoli.
Stolly.
What
Never
is
heard of
that?
it.
It's like a golden red logo with a white background. It's not bad vodka. It's
No.
just not really my taste. Absolute's fine though, so
Yeah.
I grabbed that.
Absolutely. It's fine.
I think I gotta stop rotating whiskeys because I'm just trying to try everything else. The best one that I've found yet, and I should just buy it, is the Northern Harvest Rye from Crown Royal.
I've never heard of that.
I don't like the regular Crown Royal, and if I had to pick like a generic whiskey I like the most, it would just be 40 Creek. But their Northern Harvest stuff is so good.
Crown Royal for me I'm not a fan, but my neighbor, another interesting dude that needs to be on the podcast, but needs to be a night where you can drink because he won't open up unless there's alcohol in him, and he has
I get
stories. And he turned 65, and his friend gave him a 65-year-old bottle of Crown Royal.
Wait, aged 65
Oh, yeah.
years or 65 years old?
Well, probably not age 65 years. I don't know. How is yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was way
That's
back when.
some serious stuff.
It's the best thing I've ever had. Like, it's the best Crown Royal. It's the best. It's the best alcohol. Like, you can drink it as a sipping drink or a shot, and there's no recoil. Like, it was amazing. It was way back. Apparently, way back when Seagram's owned Crown Royal, and that's from way back when. So even the marketing and the labels on the Crown Royal is different.
Is that before it came in a purple bag? And
Yes, I think so.
I've never been old enough to see it in the purple bag, but I know it was a thing they did. What?
You're out of a drink. I was pointing at which one did you want?
I'm okay. I'm going to go to the washroom first, actually, because I think that's necessary at this point. But I'm going to get one when I come back.
Well, Connor and I will get to the off-color part of the podcast.
Off color.
Yeah.
Okay.
So run me through a normal podcast for you guys, because I'm having trouble.
Usually less washroom breaks.
Usually less washroom breaks.
Typically an hour long. An hour to an hour 15, unless there's a guest. Sometimes we go longer if the guest is interesting. We've never had somebody who is just so dull that we don't do at minimum an hour. Sometimes for time constraints, it can only be an hour. And we follow, like, we know you, so it's really just a conversation. But if it was a guest that we didn't know, we try to personify them.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people that we deal with are, well, like
Politicians, call girls.
Well, we had a politician, so it was very important that we personified him, right? We wanted to make sure that he came across as as he is, but also as a human being. For the escort, sure. We just wanted stories. She told stories and whatnot. But I would say the most successful one, it is the most successful one. I think I've mentioned this, the Niagara 411, seen by many people, but his page is Niagara 411. It's not him. So for him to come on the podcast, that was, hey, let's introduce potentially 30,000 people. I mean, as many people as will watch to a guy that they may like and share and comment on stuff every day, but we had to obviously personify it. So there's no structure.
No.
We used to have a structure.
We really know.
We did. We had a list of things to talk about.
Oh, like in the first few.
We did. We had a list of things to talk about, and it worked, and it was good. But going back and listening, it was so different. It was more awkward. Like just the conversation. It was not as free flowing. Which maybe it was better. I don't know.
I'm sure someone will be kind enough to comment for you.
Thankfully, either we're so under the radar or so mellow that nobody gets mad. The most comments we've had that were semi-negative were the Niagara 411. Like, one of the things that they commented on, it was something at the beginning of the podcast, like within the first minute that it was live, somebody commented saying, Eric asked the guest, what do you use your camera for? Or whatever.
I can't necessarily blame that person because they're like, oh, idiot, he didn't think that he was going to use it to take pictures. But it's fine. I mean, not everybody is necessarily a photographer and knows that there's many different uses for a camera other than just broadly taking pictures.
You could very easily buy a DSLR now and never use it to take photos, and it's just a video machine.
You could. Or for him, maybe would be news coverage stuff, but for another person, it's just purely modeling work or whatever. Like, it's an entirely different tool for different people.
Yeah. And then some of the other comments were more like, hey, do you guys fact check everything that's said?
And then I very concisely said no, and that's okay, because you as an audience member can discern truth to whatever level you want for yourself, and we might confront the guest on the show about it, but we don't necessarily know. So
Fair enough. One of you guys, I need you to look for me. Is AC or DC more dangerous? Because now I'm scared.
If somebody answers,
think-
I will be impressed.
Well, it's like 40 minutes in.
Okay,
difference-
Tila, you're Googling this now, aren't you?
She doesn't have to Google it. The main difference overall, like the reason why we use AC current to begin with, is just due to its ability to be transmitted long distances without losing, like dissipating power, and it can be done more fuel efficiency.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought DC was the one that was super long distance, and AC was easier to work with.
So in the United States, DC current was the way that people would power their homes and lights and things like that for a long time in the first stages of using electricity. But it was very cost effective. Like, it was very difficult to transmit that through wires. And I believe it was Nikola Tesla that pretty much I don't think he didn't invent AC current, but he brought it to, I guess, a functional existence in America first, I believe. So and then you could make it go long distances essentially.
Somebody fact check this. I need you.
It's very different because a lot of the devices we use in our everyday lives that use DC current tend to be lower voltage. They're not 120 volts. They're typically like 5 or 12 or something like that. So it's a lot more low voltage applications. And the current even on those is probably not super high. What is it? 500 milliamp is like a old school USB port, and there's like 2.4 amp ones you can get the charger phone now, but it's not super high current, whereas if you plug something in the wall, you could potentially pull in a kitchen outlet up to about 17 amps or so. So it's a lot more voltage and current that you're dealing with, a lot more power. But
I did not know that. Thank you for teaching me.
I don't necessarily know that much about what I'm talking about either, so who knows. Has Jesse done his first drink finally?
Shut up.
I think I'm on my third.
Yes, I am.
So if you're on your third, I guess I got to start slowing down.
Ooh, a different kind of Summersby. Blackberry.
It's tasty.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take a sip.
Oh, I definitely thought that was a cheers.
Oh. Do you want
taking
a
it.
sip too? Or
No, I'm good.
cheers.
I know what it tastes like.
Yep. I don't know. That's a very familiar taste for some reason. But it's not because I drink Summersby.
Well,
Do you eat blackberries?
Summersby 100%.
It's still is it still an apple cider? Because it still has a hint of apple, even though it's very berry-ish.
I don't know.
Apple wine.
Apple wine. There you
Apple
go.
juice concentrate.
I can still taste the apple.
Summersby kind of nails their flavors better than a lot of things. Like when you drink an apple Summersby, you're like, this is alcoholic apple juice.
Yeah.
Not like the apple liqueur. That is alcoholic apple juice.
Oh, yeah, that. What was that called exactly?
I can't remember.
Oh.
It's a German apple liqueur. We had it for New Year's. If you mix this apple liqueur with apple juice, at no matter what, like you could drink it straight and you think, well, this is like warm apple juice.
You had me right up until warm apple
But if you
juice.
mixed it with apple juice, you would never know that there was alcohol in that apple juice.
It's an option to put it in the fridge.
Okay, that's fair.
Maybe not one that Jesse's thought of, but then it
No,
would
no,
taste
no,
like
no,
regular apple
no, I
juice.
wasn't saying that. I'm saying, like when you drink, like with most alcohols, there's always that slight warming effect when you drink it.
Okay.
Okay.
Not literal warmth.
Oh, by the way, since Connor kind of mentioned it, we should
Cheers.
say cheers.
Oh.
Perfect.
Happy 50th.
I'm gonna pitch this product to you because it was a bit of a joke before on the podcast. There's a place in Welland called Cheers. It's a bar.
Okay.
And a friend of mine and I we just make dumb jokes all day long. But I pitched this to him. I'm like, what if, and we sort of worked on it together. I don't know what part of it he made up and what part of it I made up. But we're like, they should pitch a product there at Cheers. And they should say, for lonely people, you can come in and you don't got to worry. Because if you don't have anybody there to share a drink with, we, as an establishment, will pre-cheers your beer. So when we hand it to you, it's already been cheersed.
So Eric and I, I think we said July is when we're going to do it. We need to actually set a hard date. He and I are going to do a amateur open mic stand-up bit at Showtime. And you're more than welcome to come and laugh.
I will do my best.
We need people to laugh.
Oh, yeah, it's going to suck, but it's okay. It's okay. I don't have anything prepared at all now, and I probably won't have anything prepared until like a week before. So we'll see.
Mine will just be stories. That's where I'm best at.
I think you're going to sell that well.
Wait, by the way, I found something. And then
Are we
somebody's
coming
here.
back to the original story about Cheers?
No,
Nope. We're done.
just based on stories. And then somebody's here, so I gotta.
Somebody's here.
Yeah.
Oh. Very interesting.
Oh, actually.
I was quite distracted for a moment because I realized you're holding something that isn't your iPhone, but it is an iPod.
Yes, it is. Son of a gun! I must have deleted it. Okay, I don't have proof. I'll find it again. I realized the other day that my iPod Touch for years has been also collecting messages that I get to my iPhone, as it does. So one night I was going through the old messages from years ago, and I was deleting old ones, old conversations, old women I've dated. But I came across
How many old women have you dated?
old women, like old women, only one.
Just one?
10 years older.
Yeah.
But,
That was less exciting than I wanted it to be.
but I came across the text messages between me and the infamous wheelchair girl.
The one that ran you over.
Yes. And then I scrolled through the messages for the entertainment factor.
Is it entertaining?
It's fairly entertaining. And then I got to the point, because in When I Talk, somehow she got in.
Who?
Yes.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Cameo. One of the things that I talk, which is true, but it is also a joke, is when I slowly stopped talking to her, she used the fact that she can still feel everything, but she is incredibly flexible as a selling factor to me.
Okay.
Oh, you said.
I don't know.
I'll just buzz you in.
Now here, I thought you were like trying to set the mood, turn the lighting down or something. Just. Why are you sticking your arm across my camera, Jesse?
no
That's my
idea.
camera.
Okay.
Um,
I'm unprepared for something
somebody's
like
going
this.
to the hall. Anyways,
Yeah,
I
I
came
got
across the messages of her actually saying that. So, it's just one of my old coworkers coming for a visit. This guy's night has not
Hi.
been a guy's night.
No, this is different.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Oh dear.
That's the way I felt.
Really?
He was late, so we were just finishing up.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to say hi? People have heard about you.
Oh.
What?
Who?
We've mentioned Monica before.
Okay.
Once or twice.
Quite possibly.
But I
don't-
dare you.
Not sure if by name.
Hi.
Yes, we have. But I dare you to go through 70 hours of footage to find stuff that we've talked about.
Don't
you.
bother. Don't do it.
Actually, you know what we talked about?
Oh, are you
I
leaving
want to
already?
know.
I don't know.
I don't know. We've talked about
We talked
but-
about your Christmas
uh,
present that I got you.
fungi and
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
The one that I was saying might constitute sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one.
That was fun.
Well, on
Can you say
that,
that louder? I don't think my mic got it. If you want to just.
yeah, confirm that it was fun and not sexual harassment. Please.
Creepy, not creepy at all.
No. Okay. Well, now's a
Podcast be
good.
damned, but.
What?
Oh, nice to meet you.
Oh,
Oh.
Connor, Monica, Connor.
We've
I guess-
derailed our own podcast.
Yeah, this is. We're at an hour. This is a good time to slow things down. People are gonna show up. Jake will be here soon.
I can
Oh.
be your first guest. Hey, that was my reaction. I can be your first guest under an hour.
No, we're at an hour. Hour 6,
Ah,
and that's not because you're not interesting.
You can talk for that long, Jesse.
Jesse can talk forever.
Thank you.
He's good at it.
I am good. I make people laugh. Actually, I showed her last night the text messages for the wheelchair girl.
Yes.
See, it was real. I don't know why I deleted it, but it exists.
it existed.
It existed. It still
Okay.
does.
We gotta sign off before we keep rambling.
Yes.
Oh, is it super culty like the opening?
Thank-
No, I'm not gonna do that again.
Can we try?
No.
Connor, try the sign off.
We don't have a sign off.
That's true. We
I
don't.
was about to ask.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Have
Wait,
a
wait.
good night.
This is our non-sign off sign off.
Sign off.